CAD software is useful if you need to copy a part or replace a broken part. You can use CAD to recreate it, then print a new part on a 3D printer. The method I demonstrate in this video is not the only way to recreate a part. You might find a way that works better for you, and that's okay. This tutorial will help you diagram parts, measure parts, identify steps in CAD to recreate parts, and to use a new tool in Onshape, the mirror tool. Let's begin with the striker part of the marble launcher. One way to diagram the striker is to trace the part onto a piece of paper. Next, get out a ruler and measure the dimensions of the striker and add the measurements to the diagram. I recommend using millimeters. That way you have nice whole numbers and not fractions of inches that need to be converted to decimals for Onshape. Next, draw the side view of the striker. Next, make a close-up diagram of the cutout where the rubber band passes through. Graph paper can also be used when making your diagrams. Here I have outlined the steps in CAD to make the striker for the marble launcher. The first step in CAD will be to make the sketch. I chose to use the line tool and make an enclosed L shape with these dimensions. And then I mirror that sketch. Then I go on to extrude that sketch to a depth of 6 millimeters. The next step will be to make a sketch using a corner rectangle to add material to the striker for the rubber band to pass through. And then extrude that rectangle to add the material. Next, you will make a sketch that will be the cutout for the rubber band. Again, a corner rectangle with those dimensions. And then choose extrude, and you'll want to remove and choose through all. In the Onshape video segments, look for the green oval. The steps to be completed are outlined in the green oval. Start by making a diagram of the bow. Trace the bow. Then measure and label all the dimensions using millimeters. Draw at least one side view of the bow. Then measure and label all dimensions in millimeters. Here's an outline for the steps in Onshape to make the bow part of the marble launcher. Begin with a sketch, and you'll use the line tool to draw half the bow, give it dimensions, and mirror. Extrude 5 millimeters depth. Next, you need to add material to make the slot for the striker to pass through the bow. Start a sketch, make a corner rectangle, give it dimensions, and again, mirror across the center line. Extrude that as an add material to the existing part, 9 millimeter depth. Then make a sketch that will be the actual hole through the bump out. Use a corner rectangle, give it dimensions, and mirror across the center line. Then you will extrude, remove the material through all. Lastly, make the pegs for the rubber band. So start a sketch, make a corner rectangle on one of the ends, give it dimensions, extrude 5 millimeters, repeat on the other side. In this tutorial, you practiced recreating parts in Onshape. You began by diagramming the parts, then measuring and labeling the parts. Then you outlined the steps for Onshape, and you learned to use the mirror tool when making symmetric parts.